The obsidian surface of the grand convocation chamber absorbed the feeble, refracted light from the distant stellar nurseries. Each tiny mote's a universe unto itself, reflected in the polished ebony floor that stretched to the very edges of the known cosmos. Here, amidst the hushed reverence of the highest echelons of the conquered of elder systems, the very air hummed with an unspoken tension, a discordant resonance that pierced even the thick, silent void of diplomatic decorum. The primary luminescent displays, usually vibrant tapestries of galactic charts and thriving trade routes, pulsed with an erratic, unsettling crimson, mirroring the agitated biometric readings of the assembled delegates. It was not a grand threat from a known belligerent that held them captive in this profound unease, nor a sudden collapse of a critical economic pillar, but something far more insidious, more profoundly disturbing, the utterly inexplicable. High Elder Xyler of the Cathar Imperium, his segmented antennae twitching with an almost imperceptible tremor, leaned forward from his ancestral throne of sculpted graviton shard. His bioluminescent eyes, typically radiating an unwavering azure calm, were now clouded with a deep, muddy violet, the Cathar physiological indicator of extreme cognitive stress. He surveyed the myriad forms before him, the shimmering, multifaceted carapace of the Virelian ambassador, whose species processed data through complex light pattern shifts, the stoic, crystalline obelisk that represented the venerable Telkar hegemony, a race communicating through subspace resonance, the fluid, constantly shifting chromatophores of the Sicarian emissary, whose emotional states were a public display of pulsating colors. All, regardless of their disparate biologies and millennia of evolved wisdom, shared the same palpable aura of bewilderment. We have monitored their expansion for cycles, Elder Xyler's voice, a resonant hum perfectly calibrated to the chamber's acoustics, vibrated through the air, carrying the weight of 1,000 star systems. Their initial forays into interstellar space were rudimentary, almost laughably so. Primitive warp drives, inefficient energy projection, a complete lack of subspace field manipulation. Their home system, Sol, was a backwater, unremarkable in every metric. And then the anomaly. The sudden, unheralded leap. He gestured with a slender, multi-jointed digit towards the central holographic projection, which now displayed a single, isolated ship. It was unlike any vessel ever catalogued by the conquered. The image shimmered, resolute in its defiance of conventional design. It was not the sleek, aerodynamic grace of Cathar cruisers, nor the robust, modular construction of Virelian exploratory vessels. This human craft, designated by their own crude nomenclature as Jack No, possessed an angularity that bordered on the aggressive, yet an underlying geometry that suggested an almost organic flow. Its primary hull was a composite of materials unknown to Concordian metallurgy, reflecting and absorbing energy in ways that defied spectroscopic analysis. Around it, a complex, fluctuating energy field shimmered, not a standard shield, but something more nuanced, more adaptive. Their designation, Ambassador Lyshar, the Virelian, interjected, a cascade of deep indigo and pulsating emerald rippling across her carapace, denoting intellectual frustration mixed with fear. Her species, renowned for their data processing capabilities, had struggled more than any to categorize the human vessel. Jack No. Their linguistics analysts suggest it is a fragmented identifier, potentially part of a larger, incomplete phrase. We have extrapolated numerous possibilities. Jack Knife, Jack Frost, Jack of all trades, all inadequate. Their language is chaotic, brimming with ambiguity. Chaotic is an understatement, the Telkar obelisk resonated, its deep hum vibrating the very floor. Their internal societal structures, their political systems, their historical records, they appear to thrive on internal discord, on what they term innovation through adversity. Their species, humanity, exhibits a bewildering array of emotional responses, often contradictory within the same individual. They are fundamentally illogical in their most basic operational parameters. Yet this ship, the resonant hum deepened, a clear sign of the Telkar's profound analytical struggle. This vessel, Jack No, defies every known logical constraint of interstellar engineering. Elder Xyler allowed a moment of resonant silence to settle, the weight of their collective bewilderment pressing down. It appeared 3 cycles ago at the furthest reaches of the Cathar border sector. Not a single subspace distortion, not a ripple in the void. Simply materialized. Our long-range sensors, designed to detect even the faintest neutrino flux of nascent stellar collapses, registered nothing until it was already within optimal detection range. Its energy signature, it is impossible. It emits a stable, self-sustaining quantum entanglement field, drawing zero-point energy with an efficiency that defies thermodynamic principles. A collective gasp, a chorus of faint clicks and resonant hums, rippled through the chamber. Zero-point energy was theoretical, a distant dream for even the most advanced Concordian research institutes. The concept of stable, self-sustaining quantum entanglement for power generation was sheer fantasy, bordering on mythological. And its speed, Elder Zyler continued, his voice now lower, tinged with a grim gravity. Our pursuit fleets equipped with the most advanced Cathar temporal displacement drives were utterly outmatched. Jack No accelerated from a complete standstill to velocities exceeding the speed of light by a factor of 10 without any observable energy discharge, any subspace wake, any physical strain. It does not warp, it does not jump. It simply moves. The Sicarian emissary, its chromatophores shifting from a vibrant, inquisitive yellow to a mottled, anxious orange and purple, projected a series of complex data streams directly onto the central display. Their primary weapon system, the Sicarian's telepathic projection pulsed into the collective consciousness, its unique form of communication bypassing spoken language entirely, is even more disturbing. It is not an energy beam nor a projectile. It is a temporal distortion. Our analysis suggests it momentarily phases its target out of conventional spacetime, rendering it inert, vulnerable, and then reintroduces it. Our interceptor drones, caught within its field, simply cease to exist for a fraction of a microcycle, only to reappear perfectly intact but functionally disabled. Their power cores neutralized, their control systems locked. A profound stillness gripped the chamber. A temporal weapon. The very idea was blasphemous, a violation of the most fundamental laws of the universe. The Conquered had spent millennia perfecting energy projection, mass drivers, even limited forms of localized gravity manipulation. But to manipulate time itself, it was a power reserved for cosmic entities, for the very fabric of existence. And their crew, Ambassador Lyshar added, her colors dimming to a muted, fearful violet. Human, a single individual, no support staff, no automated systems that we can detect. Just one of them, alone in that impossible vessel. We have tried to establish communication using every known diplomatic protocol, every universal language construct. It simply does not respond. It observes. It moves with an unsettling, almost casual dominance. It is an enigma wrapped in an impossibility, piloted by a species we believed was still struggling with localized atmospheric pollution. We cannot allow this to continue, Elder Zyler declared, his voice regaining some of its former authority, though the undercurrent of unease remained. A single vessel operated by a single entity capable of such unfathomable power represents an existential threat to the Conquered. We must understand it. We must dissect its capabilities, and if necessary, we must neutralize it. A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber, yet it was a hesitant, uncertain sound. How does one neutralize an impossibility? How does one combat a force that disregards the very laws of physics? The grand debate, the meticulous politicking that usually characterized Concordian deliberations, was absent. Fear, cold and insidious, had replaced it. They were confronting an unknown, an anomaly that defied their millennia of accumulated knowledge, and it was piloted by a species they had so casually dismissed as primitive. The silence stretched, thick and oppressive, filled only with the faint, unsettling hum of the crimson warning lights. The primary observation deck of the Cathar first contact vessel, Harbinger of Dawn, offered an unobstructed panoramic view of the void. Commander Vitar, his iridescent scales reflecting the starlight filtering through the hardened transparisteel, felt a tremor run through his core structure. Before them, silhouetted against the emerald nebulosity of the Cygnus arm, floated Jack No. It was utterly still, a dark, angular sentinel in the cosmic expanse, its energy field shimmering with a faint, hypnotic violet hue. It had remained in this position for 2 standard cycles, unresponsive, observing. Are the diplomatic protocols still active? Vitar's voice was a low growl, born of mounting frustration. His species, the Cathar, were renowned for their tactical acumen and unwavering resolve, but this silent, unmoving defiance was testing the limits of their patience. Affirmative, Commander, came the modulated reply from Operations Specialist Thale. Thale's form, smaller and more finely articulated than Vitar's, was hunched over his console, his multiple visual sensors darting across the flickering displays. Universal hails, Cathar diplomatic frequencies, Virelian data bursts, Telkar resonant patterns, Sicarian thought projections, all ongoing. Zero response. Not even an acknowledgement of receipt. Its internal sensors, Vitar pressed, his bioluminescent eyes narrowing. Are they still registering a single organic signature? Yes, Commander, Thale confirmed, a subtle shift in his carapaces signifying a flicker of unease. One human, stable vital signs, minimal energy expenditure. It is as if they are simply waiting. Waiting, the word hung in the sterile air of the bridge, heavy with implications. Waiting for what? For an attack, for a mistake. The Conquered had dispatched this observation fleet, not a strike force, in a desperate bid to understand. The Harbinger of Dawn was bristling with the most sophisticated sensor arrays, but not a single weapon was charged, not a single shield raised beyond passive levels. Their mandate was observation, not engagement. Yet the sheer power radiating from Jack-No was palpable, a silent threat that permeated the void. Maintain full sensor lock, Vitar ordered, his voice betraying none of the internal turmoil that gnawed at him. Continue diplomatic overtures, increase analysis of its energy field. There must be a weakness, a modulation, something we can understand. Cycles turned into standard weeks. The Concordian observation fleet, initially comprised of a handful of vessels, had swelled to a significant defensive cordon, though still under strict orders of non-aggression. The silent standoff continued. Jack-No remained an unwavering monument to the unknown, its lone human pilot a mystery. Then, without warning, the anomaly that was Jack-No shifted, not physically but in its energy output. A faint, harmonic frequency, previously undetected, began to emanate from its hull. It was not a weapon signature, nor a communication broadcast in any known format. It was music. The Harbinger of Dawn's bridge crew froze. Vitar, his multiple visual sensors adjusting to focus on the unexpected data, felt a prickle of something akin to confusion, then curiosity. The sound was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It was complex, layered, possessing a melodic structure that defied the rigid mathematical compositions of Cathar symphonies or the crystalline sonic patterns of the Telkar. This was a cascade of fluctuating tones, rich harmonies, and rhythmic pulses that resonated deep within their very biological structures. Analysis of the sonic emissions, Vitar commanded, his voice edged with an unfamiliar urgency. Thale, his segmented fingers flying across his console, responded with a surprised inflection in his modulated voice. Commander, it is a form of artistic expression. They term it music. Their internal historical records, now accessible through the modulated frequency, identify this particular composition as jazz, specifically a piece titled A Piece of Jack-No. This is incredible. It appears to be a direct communication, utilizing cultural data rather than linguistic. Vitar leaned closer to the primary display. The music continued, now accompanied by a subtle shift in the energy field surrounding Jack-No. The violet shimmer intensified, then pulsed with a gentle, rhythmic beat that mirrored the music. It was a beckoning, an invitation. Open a dedicated channel, Vitar ordered, his resolve hardening. Transmit a Cathar cultural offering, a harmonic suite, and prepare a close-range reconnaissance drone. Unarmed, we will approach. The exchange began. The Cathar transmitted their ancient harmonic suite, a testament to their ordered, disciplined civilization. Jack-No responded with another piece of human music, this one more melancholic, yet still deeply complex. The Virelians sent a data burst of their light-pattern narratives, chronicling their stellar migrations. Jack-No responded with visual imagery, a stunning display of human art, landscapes, and architectural wonders. The Telkar transmitted their resonant historical records, detailing their millennia of contemplative existence. Jack-No responded with poetry, with philosophical treatises, with stories of human struggle and triumph. The silent, unmoving defiance had given way to an unexpected, profound dialogue. It was not through words, but through the very essence of their respective cultures, that humanity began to reveal itself. The Concordian delegates, watching from their distant chamber, found their fear slowly giving way to something else, a deep, intellectual fascination. The grand convocation chamber was no longer bathed in crimson. A soft, contemplative blue light now permeated the space, reflecting the shift in the collective mood. Elder Zyler's eyes, while still holding a trace of the earlier violet, were now a clearer, more inquisitive azure. The holographic display no longer showed a single ominous vessel, but a continuous stream of human cultural data, sick. ling through art, music, philosophical texts, and historical chronicles. Their history, Ambassador Lishar projected, her colors a vibrant, analytical blend of emerald and gold, is a tapestry of contradictions. They waged devastating wars against themselves, often driven by arbitrary ideological differences, yet they concurrently achieved unprecedented technological and artistic breakthroughs. They are a species seemingly defined by internal conflict and external innovation. Their concept of humanity, the Telkar obelisk resonated, is not based on a singular, unified identity but on a collective experience of individuality. They value unique perspectives, even when those perspectives lead to disagreement. They define their species not by what they are uniformly, but by what they are individually and collectively. It is a remarkably inefficient, yet surprisingly resilient, approach to species cohesion. Elder Zyler listened, his antennae twitching with rapid processing. The initial fear had been replaced by a deep intellectual challenge. They had underestimated humanity, not in terms of potential belligerence, but in the sheer depth of their complexity. The silence of Jack No had not been arrogance, but a subtle invitation to observe, to learn. Its music had been a key, unlocking a door they hadn't even realized existed. We believed their technologies to be a sudden, inexplicable leap, Elder Zyler observed, his voice now thoughtful, devoid of its earlier apprehension. But their cultural data suggests a different narrative. They speak of breakthroughs, of paradigm shifts. They speak of a unique human approach to problem-solving, something they call thinking outside the box. It suggests their advancement was not a single, isolated event, but a culmination of countless small, iterative innovations, often born from struggle. The Virelian ambassador projected a newly translated human scientific treatise onto the display. They have provided us with theoretical frameworks for their quantum entanglement power source. The principles are audacious. They propose a form of nested causality, where the energy potential of a future state is harvested in the present. It requires a profound understanding of space-time manipulation, and a degree of inherent uncertainty that our scientific methodologies would deem unacceptable. Uncertainty, the Telkar resonated, is a recurring theme in their philosophy. They embrace it. They even find beauty in it. They speak of the unknown not as a void to be feared, but as a frontier to be explored. Our civilizations, in contrast, have strived for millennia to eliminate uncertainty, to predict every variable, to control every outcome. This fundamental difference in perspective, it is profound. The cultural exchange continued for many more cycles. The human ship, Jack No, remained an anchor, a conduit for understanding. Its pilot, the single human within, remained a silent observer, occasionally adjusting the focus of the data streams, guiding the conquered to specific aspects of human civilization. There was no boastfulness, no demands, no aggression, only a calm, steady unveiling. Then the true revelation came. It was not another piece of music, nor a philosophical text, but a complex, multi-layered data packet that encompassed engineering schematics, theoretical physics, and historical context. It was the complete operational manual for Jack No. The Concord's analysts, working frantically, struggled to decipher the enormity of the data. It was a fusion of technologies, a symphony of disparate scientific disciplines converging into a cohesive whole. The quantum entanglement drive, the temporal distortion weapon, the advanced hull materials, all were meticulously explained, not with complex equations alone, but with a narrative of discovery, of failure, of stubborn, relentless human ingenuity. They developed this vessel, Ambassador Lishar projected, her colors now a spectrum of awe and disbelief, not as a weapon of conquest, but as an existential necessity. Their homeworld, Sol III, faced a cataclysmic threat from a rapidly destabilizing stellar core. Their existing technologies, though advanced, were insufficient for a mass exodus. They faced annihilation. The Jack No, Elder Zyler continued, his voice barely a whisper, was their last desperate gamble. A single ship designed to harness energies and manipulate spacetime in ways they did not fully comprehend, to travel to a new system, to find a new home. Not for conquest, but for survival. They poured all of their knowledge, all of their ambition, all of their desperation into this single vessel. The Telkar obelisk resonated with a deep, mournful hum. It was a race against extinction. Every setback, every failure, every lost life in the development process, it was a testament to their unwavering will to survive. The Jack No is not merely a ship, it is a distillation of the entire human species' will to endure, and the individual piloting it, they refer to them as the seed bearer, the last hope. a solitary individual carrying the burden of an entire species' future. A profound wave of humility swept through the grand convocation chamber. They had viewed humanity as primitive, as a potential threat. They had judged them by the narrow metrics of their own evolved civilizations. But humanity, on the brink of annihilation, had reached for the stars not with a sword, but with a desperate, singular plea for existence embodied in this impossible ship. The music of Jack No now resonated with a different quality. It was no longer a mystery, but a narrative of struggle, of hope, of an audacious defiance against the inevitable. The single human, alone in that vessel, was not a conqueror but a refugee. And the conquered of elder systems, with its millennia of wisdom and power, now faced a new, unexpected imperative, not to neutralize but to offer sanctuary. The decision was not debated. It was an unspoken consensus, a shared understanding that transcended their disparate biologies and political structures. The immense power of the conquered, once poised in suspicion, now turned towards a new purpose, facilitating humanity's survival. Vitar stood on the bridge of the Harbinger of Dawn, observing the delicate ballet unfolding before him. Several Concordian vessels, bristling with their most advanced energy conduits, were now engaged in a meticulous, highly regulated energy transfer to Jack No. The human vessel, its purpose revealed, was not designed for indefinite operation without significant energy replenishment. Its quantum entanglement drive, while phenomenally efficient, required periodic infusions of exotic matter to stabilize its core, matter that was rare even in Concordian space. "Status of the energy transfer?" Vitar asked, his voice now imbued with a newfound sense of purpose. "Stable, Commander," Thale responded, his visual sensors now reflecting a subtle, almost imperceptible warmth. "The human vessel's core is accepting the input with optimal efficiency. Their schematics were remarkably precise. And the new colony world, designated New Sol by the humans," Thale continued, scrolling through the star charts. "It is a Class M planet in the Kepler system within acceptable parameters for human habitation. Terraformers are already being dispatched by the Virelian fleet. The Cathar are providing defense platforms and long-range sensor arrays. The Telkar are contributing genetic libraries and bioscaffolding technologies. The Sicarians are mapping optimal atmospheric compositions." It was a galactic effort, unparalleled in Concordian history. The initial fear of Jack No had transformed into a collective empathy, a recognition of a shared vulnerability in the face of the cosmos. Humanity's audacious gamble, its profound struggle for survival, had resonated deeply within the hearts of the elder systems. A faint signal pulsed from Jack No. It was not the complex music, nor the data streams, but a simple, clear vocalization in a universal language protocol, a human voice. "This is Jack No. Pilot designation, Captain Elias Thorne. I am grateful for your assistance. My primary objective, the secure transfer of humanity's genetic archive, is now within reach." Vitar felt a tremor of awe. The single human, the seed-bearer, had finally spoken. His voice, though calm and measured, carried the weight of an entire species' hope. "Captain Thorne," Vitar responded, his voice clear and resonant, "the conquered of elder systems is honored to facilitate humanity's continued existence. You are no longer alone. We are here, and we will ensure your future." The Harbinger of Dawn, along with the entire Concordian fleet, began a slow, majestic procession. Jack No, now brimming with renewed energy, positioned itself at the vanguard, a symbol of humanity's resilience, guided by the collective might of the conquered towards their new home. As the armada sailed through the shimmering cosmic dust, a new, faint signal began to register on the Cathar long-range sensor arrays. It was not from the direction of their journey, nor from the known sectors of the conquered. It came from the galactic rim, from beyond the mapped territories, from the vast, uncharted dark. "Commander," Thale's modulated voice crackled with a sudden, intense urgency, "we are detecting a highly unusual energy signature, extremely distant, but massive, unprecedented. It is a sustained, low-frequency gravitational ripple, consistent with a structure of unimaginable scale." Vitar's multiple visual sensors widened in alarm. "A structure? What kind of structure?" The holographic display above the central console flickered, struggling to render the incoming data. A faint, almost imperceptible distortion began to resolve itself. It was not a ship. It was not a natural celestial body. It was an edifice sprawling acro. SS hundreds of light years, a network of interwoven cosmic filaments, each strand impossibly vast, shimmering with an ancient, resonant energy. It was a cosmic web, a forgotten construct, radiating an aura of profound, almost terrifying antiquity. "It appears to be a galactic-scale communication array," Thale whispered, his voice tinged with a raw, existential dread. "Or perhaps a gateway. It is emitting a repeating pattern, a sequence of complex, mathematically precise pulses. It is a message, Commander, an ancient message, and it has just activated." The chamber of the Grand Convocation was alive with a renewed, yet different, tension. The soft blue light that had characterized their understanding of humanity had been replaced by the stark, sterile white of analytical urgency. Elder Xyler, his antennae now rigid with apprehension, stared at the central display. The image of the celestial superstructure, vast beyond comprehension, pulsed with a rhythm that was both alien and deeply unsettling. Its intricate latticework of dark matter and exotic energy was now actively transmitting, a silent, resonant call across the void. "The data streams are overwhelming," Ambassador Lyshar projected, her colors a tumultuous storm of purple, black, and crimson, denoting extreme cognitive strain. "Our processing units are struggling to even categorize the sheer volume of information embedded within the pulse patterns. It is a language, certainly, but one that predates any known interstellar civilization. It speaks of energies, of dimensions, of cosmic phenomena that exist beyond our current scientific paradigms. The sheer scale of this construct," the Telkar obelisk resonated, its hum now a low, continuous thrum of profound unease, "suggests an origin point unimaginably ancient. Its design principles imply a mastery over fundamental forces of the universe that would render our most advanced technologies as rudimentary as flint tools. Who built such a thing, and why now has it awakened?" Elder Xyler's gaze drifted to a secondary display, where the image of Jack No, now bathed in the gentle green glow of active energy replenishment, was docked with the Concordian lead vessel, the harbinger of dawn. Captain Elias Thorne, the lone human pilot, was observing the unfolding cosmic drama with an unsettling calm. Humanity, having just secured its precarious future, was now confronted with an enigma that dwarfed even its own desperate struggle for survival. "Captain Thorne," Elder Xyler's voice, amplified and broadcast directly to the human vessel, held a note of profound respect. "Your species has just navigated the precipice of extinction with an ingenuity that has humbled us all. We now face an unknown of an entirely different magnitude. This ancient construct, this whisper of the cosmos, as our analysts are now calling it, has lain dormant for untold millennia. Its sudden activation, its transmission, demands our unified attention." Captain Thorne's face, projected onto the main Concordian display, was unreadable. His eyes, dark and deep, seemed to hold not fear but a quiet, intense focus. "Elder Xyler," his voice, calm and even, resonated through the chamber, "we understand. Our survival has been secured thanks to the Conquered's unprecedented generosity. We stand with you. Our vessel, Jack No, has unique capabilities for long-range, hyperdimensional scanning. Perhaps we can assist in deciphering this message." A collective intake of breath rippled through the delegates. Jack No had already proven itself a marvel of engineering, a vessel built on principles that defied known physics. Its temporal distortion field, its quantum entanglement drive, perhaps its unique properties extended to forms of analysis beyond the Conquered's capabilities. "The risk is considerable, Captain Thorne," Elder Xyler cautioned, his voice tinged with concern. "This construct is an unknown. Its energies are immense. Our preliminary scans indicate localized spacetime distortions around its periphery. Even our most hardened probes cannot withstand the interference." "Risk is inherent to existence, Elder," Captain Thorne replied, a faint, almost imperceptible smile touching his lips. "Humanity has learned to live with it. We built Jack No to overcome the impossible. This situation, while daunting, falls within the parameters of its core design. We will calibrate our systems. We will attempt a deep space hyperdimensional scan. Send us the full data packet you have thus far." The decision was swift. The Conquered, having just witnessed humanity's profound resilience, now placed an unprecedented trust in their new allies. The fate of their understanding, and potentially their future, rested on the capabilities of the most advanced ship ever built, piloted by the human who had once been merely a bewildering anomaly. Days blurred into weeks. The Concordian fleet held a respectful distance, maintaining a defensive perimeter around Jack No as it positioned itself closer to the periphery of the gargantuan cosmic construct. The human vessel, a tiny speck against the backdrop of the incomprehensibly vast artifact, became the focal point of all hope and fear. Inside the grand convocation chamber, the delegates monitored every fluctuating energy reading, every data flicker emanating from Jack No. Captain Thorne remained in constant, calm communication, providing periodic updates on his progress. He spoke of navigating energy fluctuations that threatened to tear apart spacetime, of deciphering resonant frequencies that pulsed with ancient knowledge, of filtering out cosmic background noise that was, in itself, a symphony of forgotten stellar events. The construct is not merely transmitting a message, Captain Thorne's voice, now tinged with a quiet awe, projected into the chamber one standard week into the mission. It is broadcasting a historical record, a chronicle of precursor civilizations stretching back to the dawn of the galaxy. It is a library Elder Xyler, a universal repository of knowledge designed to awaken when the galaxy reached a sufficient level of interstellar maturity. A wave of profound silence swept through the chamber. A universal library. The implications were staggering. It suggested a guiding hand, an ancient intelligence that had orchestrated the very evolution of galactic civilization, patiently waiting for its children to reach a certain level of understanding before bestowing upon them the keys to cosmic knowledge. And the message itself, Captain? Elder Xyler pressed, his voice taut with anticipation. What does it say? It is not a single message, Elder, Captain Thorne replied, his tone now even more reflective. It is a multi-layered narrative. It speaks of the origins of the conquered of elder systems, of the nascent species that would eventually form your venerable alliance. It speaks of the very first life-bearing planets, of the chemical precursors of sentience, of the slow, arduous march of evolution. It is a testament to the interconnectedness of all life in the galaxy, a profound, unifying truth. Ambassador Lyshar's colors shifted to a brilliant, vibrant gold, denoting profound intellectual revelation. It is a message of unity, a reminder of our shared heritage, of the cosmic tapestry that binds us all. This construct, it is not a threat. It is a beacon. The Telkar obelisk resonated with a deep, harmonious hum, a sound of profound enlightenment. It is a truth that transcends our individual histories, our species' differences. It speaks of a great pattern, a cosmic design that underpins all existence, and it speaks of the purpose of this pattern. Then Captain Thorne's voice took on a new, more somber tone. The core of the message, Elder Xyler, is a warning. This library, this repository of knowledge, was designed to guide emergent civilizations towards a common understanding. But it was also designed to prepare them for something that lies beyond our galaxy, something ancient, something consuming. The calm in the chamber fractured. The delegates, their collective relief dissolving into a renewed, chilling dread, stared at the display. The ancient, unifying message had a darker, more ominous undertone. A threat. Elder Xyler's voice was a low growl, the Cathar tactical instincts reawakening. What kind of threat? The message speaks of the Void Scourge. Captain Thorne's voice was now utterly devoid of emotion, a professional delivering a grim report. Entities from the intergalactic void, life forms that consume stellar energy, that warp spacetime, that leave nothing but cold, sterile entropy in their wake. They are not conquerors. They are harvesters, and this construct was built as a last, desperate measure by the precursors to alert the galaxy to prepare it for their inevitable return. The revelation hung in the air, cold and heavy. Humanity, with its desperate flight for survival, had inadvertently stumbled upon a truth that now overshadowed all their previous concerns. The Jack No, built for one species' survival, had now become the galaxy's first warning system against an existential threat of unimaginable magnitude. The message provides tactical data, Captain Thorne continued, his voice regaining a note of urgency. Weaknesses, vulnerabilities, countermeasures, but it requires the unified effort of all advanced civilizations. It is a call to arms, Elder Xyler, a final plea from a long-lost civilization, echoing across the millennia for the children of this galaxy to unite, to fight for their existence against an enemy that knows no mercy, no compromise. The Grand Convocation Chamber, which had once debated the threat of a single, bewildering human ship, now faced a challenge that encompassed the entire galactic civilization. And in the midst of it all, the lone human, Captain Elias Thorne, whose species had been deemed primitive, whose vessel had been a terrifying enigma, now stood as the harbinger of both profound knowledge and cosmic warning. The ultimate test of unity, of strength, of shared resolve had just begun. The strategic war room within the newly configured Grand Convocation Chamber buzzed with a controlled, yet palpable tension. The holographic display no longer showed the enigmatic cosmic construct, but a comprehensive galactic chart, overlaid with projected trajectories and defensive formations. The ominous crimson pulsed with renewed intensity, not from fear of the unknown, but from the stark reality of a known, terrifying threat. Elder Xyler, his form radiating an unwavering resolve, addressed the assembled delegates. The information provided by Captain Thorne and subsequently corroborated by our deepest dives into the precursor construct's data leaves no room for doubt. The Void Scourge is real. Its return is imminent. The fate of the conquered, and indeed all life within this galaxy, now hinges on our ability to unify, to assimilate the precursor knowledge, and to deploy it with absolute precision. Captain Elias Thorne, his lean human form standing at a tactical console to Elder Xyler's right, was a figure of quiet authority. His eyes, typically calm, now held a glint of intense, focused determination. The precursor data indicates the Void Scourge operates on a collective consciousness. Each individual entity is a mere extension of a vast, central intelligence. Their primary weakness lies in a specific resonant frequency that disrupts their synaptic network, effectively fragmenting their collective will. The precursor construct has provided the precise harmonic calculations. Ambassador Lyshar, her colors a mosaic of analytical emeralds and resolute blues, projected a complex energy wave pattern onto the display. Our engineers are adapting our primary weapon systems to generate this counter-frequency. The energy requirements are immense, but within our collective capabilities. The Virelian fleets are already reconfiguring their photon accelerator arrays. The Telkar obelisk resonated with a deep strategic hum. The precursor tactical schematics emphasize the importance of synchronized attacks. A fragmented response will be ineffective. We must strike as one, with coordinated precision. The Telkar hegemony will coordinate subspace communications, ensuring absolute temporal alignment for all participating fleets. The Sicarian emissary, its chromatophores a blend of focused orange and determined purple, offered through telepathic projection. The precursor data also details the Void Scourge's preferred method of stellar energy absorption. They target nascent stars, drawing upon their gravitational and thermal output. This provides us with predictable attack vectors. We can position defensive assets around these vulnerable systems. The unified response was extraordinary. The old rivalries, the minor political skirmishes, the diplomatic posturing, all had evaporated in the face of the cosmic threat. Humanity, once an enigmatic anomaly, was now an integral part of this grand, desperate alliance. Jack, no, the ship of desperation, had become the catalyst for galactic unity. Captain Thorne, in his calm, methodical way, continued to assist in deciphering the more nuanced aspects of the precursor data. His unique human perspective, his species, comfort with uncertainty and innovative problem-solving, proved invaluable. Where Concordian analytical systems sometimes struggled with the abstract nature of precursor philosophy, Thorne found echoes of human creativity, of human resilience. The precursors understood the gravity of the Void Scourge, Captain Thorne explained during a late-cycle briefing. They knew their own efforts might not be enough. This construct was a long-term solution, a message in a bottle for future generations. They imbued it with a profound sense of hope, not just a warning. The first scout probes from the Void Scourge arrived weeks later. They were not ships in the conventional sense, but amorphous, swirling constructs of dark matter and corrupted energy, silent harbingers of the approaching cosmic plague. The Concordian defense fleets, arrayed in a vast, glittering cordon around the vulnerable systems, were ready. The ensuing conflict was unlike any war ever waged in the galaxy. It was not a clash of ships and energy beams, but a battle of frequencies, of resonant harmonics against chaotic entropy. The Concordian fleets, acting as a single, unified organism, unleashed the precursor counterfrequency. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Void Scourge probes, caught within the harmonic disruption, writhed and fragmented, their dark matter forms dissolving into inert, scattered particles. But the victory was momentary. The main Void Scourge fleet, an incomprehensibly vast armada of star-devouring entities, emerged from the intergalactic void. It was a terrifying spectacle, a storm of Khan. Summing darkness stretching across parsecs, blotting out distant stars. Their numbers are beyond calculation. Thale's voice, amplified through the comms, was strained with awe and horror. Their collective consciousness is adapting to the counter-frequency. It is weakening. Elder Zyler's command was immediate. Redouble frequency output. Engage all primary emitters. We cannot allow them to consolidate. The battle intensified. The galaxy shimmered with the clash of energies, the desperate defiance of life against the encroaching void. Concordian ships, their hulls gleaming with defensive energy, poured forth the disruptive frequencies, tearing apart countless Void Scourge entities. Yet for every one destroyed, myriad more surged forward, an inexorable tide of cosmic hunger. Captain Thorne, from his unique vantage point within Jack No, its sensors capable of penetrating the Void Scourge's obfuscating energy fields, observed a horrifying pattern. The entities were not random. They were targeting the very core of the galactic arm, the region of highest stellar density, of the richest energy reserves. They were making a beeline for the heart of the galaxy, for the very origin points of life. Elder Zyler, Captain Thorne's voice cut through the chaos, clear and urgent. Their primary objective is not merely consumption, but assimilation. They are attempting to collapse the galactic core, to harness its gravitational singularity for a massive, self-sustaining energy source. They will consume the galaxy from within. A chill permeated the war room. The scale of the Void Scourge's ambition was far greater than mere feeding. It was a cosmic transformation, a perversion of stellar mechanics, a threat to the very existence of the galaxy itself. The precursor data, did it speak of this? Elder Zyler demanded, his voice now imbued with a cold, desperate fury. It did, Captain Thorne replied, his voice grim. But the solution, it is extreme. It requires a singular, massive energy discharge at the galactic core. A localized space-time collapse, a calculated implosion that would reset the gravitational anomaly. It would create a temporary, contained vacuum, denying them their ultimate prize. The energy required for such an event, Ambassador Lyshar projected, her colors dimming to a fearful gray. It is beyond the combined output of all Concordian fleets, even at maximum capacity. No, Captain Thorne stated, his voice ringing with a quiet, resolute certainty. Not beyond, only one, only Jack No. A profound silence fell upon the war room. Elder Zyler's eyes, reflecting the distant cosmic conflict, fixed on the human, he understood. The most advanced ship ever built, the vessel of humanity's desperate hope, was also the galaxy's final, desperate weapon. Its quantum entanglement drive, capable of drawing on zero-point energy, of manipulating spacetime with unprecedented precision, was the only instrument capable of such an impossible task. Captain Thorne, Elder Zyler's voice was a low, resonant plea. The risk is absolute. The feedback from such an energy discharge, the proximity to a collapsing gravitational singularity, it will be annihilation. For you, for your vessel. Captain Thorne's face, etched with a quiet resolve, betrayed no fear. Elder, Jack No was built for the impossible. It was built for humanity's survival. And humanity, having been given a new chance by the conquered, would not stand by and watch this galaxy fall. This is our contribution, our thanks. My species understands sacrifice. We understand what it means to face the abyss for the greater good. He looked directly at Elder Zyler, his eyes holding a depth of unwavering purpose. Activate the precursor guidance system. Calibrate the galactic core's resonance patterns. Give me the coordinates. I will do what Jack No was designed to do. A profound wave of respect, bordering on reverence, swept through the war room. The species they had once dismissed as primitive, as chaotic, as merely lucky, was now offering the ultimate sacrifice. The lone human, the seed-bearer, was prepared to become the savior of the galaxy. The final phase of the battle began. Concordian fleets, galvanized by humanity's selfless offer, pushed back with renewed fury, holding the line against the encroaching Void Scourge, buying precious time. Jack No, a tiny, solitary vessel, detached from the harbinger of dawn and began its solitary, suicidal journey towards the heart of the galaxy, towards the brilliant, terrifying furnace of the galactic core. Captain Thorne's voice, calm and steady, guided by the precursor data and the unified efforts of the Concordian strategists, reported his progress. Entering interstellar clusters, gravitational distortions increasing, energy readings critical, commencing final power accumulation sequence. The Concordian delegates watched in breathless silence, their disparate biologies united in a shared moment of awe. And sorrow, the music from Jack No, which had once been a baffling mystery, then a narrative of human struggle, now swelled through the comms, a profound, melancholy symphony of sacrifice and hope. It was the same piece that had first drawn them in, a piece of Jack No, but now it resonated with an entirely new, devastating meaning. Core systems at maximum saturation, Captain Thorne's voice, now barely a whisper, was strained but resolute. Precursor sequence initiated. Stand by for singularity induction. A blinding flash, a burst of energy unlike anything ever witnessed, erupted from the galactic core. For a moment, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then, a localized space-time implosion, a perfect, contained vacuum, ripped through the heart of the galaxy, consuming the void scourge entities that had begun to latch onto the gravitational singularity. The consuming darkness recoiled, its collective consciousness momentarily shattered, its insidious purpose thwarted. The galaxy was safe. But Jack No and Captain Elias Thorne were gone. Vanished in the immense, controlled cataclysm, a silent testament to human courage, to human sacrifice. The ensuing silence in the war room was profound, absolute. It was a silence filled with grief, with awe, and with an unshakable, profound understanding of humanity. Elder Xyler finally broke the silence, his voice raw with emotion. We owe them everything, the future of this galaxy, to a species we so casually dismissed, to a single human, a hero whose name will echo through the ages. Ambassador Lyshar's colors were a muted, respectful gray, with intermittent flashes of deep, mournful indigo. They taught us what it means to be truly unified, what it means to embrace risk, not out of foolishness, but out of absolute necessity, what it means to find strength in vulnerability. The Telkar obelisk resonated with a single, elongated hum, a eulogy that spoke of eternal respect. They transcended their own desperate flight for survival to save us all. They revealed a depth of spirit, a boundless capacity for self-sacrifice that shames our own long-held assumptions of superiority. The Sicarian emissaries' chromatophores shifted into a pattern never before seen by the conquered. A deep, shimmering violet, signifying profound sorrow, intermingled with an abiding, transcendent admiration. The immediate threat of the Void Scourge was repelled, its advance fragmented, its ultimate plan thwarted. But the precursor construct, the whisper of the cosmos, remained. And within its vast, ancient repository, a new message began to emerge, a final, deeper layer of knowledge that had been obscured until the immediate crisis passed. It was not a warning, it was an invitation. The Grand Convocation Chamber, now dedicated as the Chamber of Unity, glowed with a soft, steady white light, a beacon of hope and remembrance. Elder Xyler stood before a new holographic display, one that no longer projected galactic threats, but the image of the precursor construct, now fully understood, its vast network of cosmic filaments radiating a gentle, welcoming energy. The final layer of the precursor message, Elder Xyler's voice, now imbued with a quiet reverence, resonated through the chamber, is a roadmap. It details the existence of other galaxies, other cosmic structures beyond our own, not as distant, unreachable realms, but as connected realities, linked by a network of dormant, hyperdimensional cross-galactic gates. A collective gasp, a ripple of astonished whispers passed through the delegates. Cross-galactic gates. The very concept was mind-boggling, a leap beyond even their newfound understanding of cosmic physics. Their galaxy, which had once felt like the entirety of existence, was merely a single island in an ocean of universes. The precursors, Ambassador Lyshar projected, her colors a breathtaking spectrum of wonder and awe, were not merely guardians of this galaxy. They were explorers of the cosmos itself. They built this network to foster universal unity, to connect civilizations across the vast, lonely expanse of intergalactic space. The Void Scourge was merely a localized disease, a symptom of a larger cosmic imbalance that they sought to rectify. The Telkar obelisk hummed with a profound sense of destiny. The activation of the precursor construct, the defense against the Void Scourge, and most profoundly the sacrifice of Captain Thorne and Jack No, these events were not merely coincidences. They were triggers. The galaxy has proven its unity, its courage, its capacity for selfless action. It has shown itself worthy of the next, grander frontier. Elder Xyler gestured towards a shimmering point on the display, a faint, almost imperceptible node within the precursor network. This node, identified as the Nexus of Origins, is the first of these cross-galactic gates. The precursor data indicates it will become active when a species, with a unique combination of audacity, ingenuity, and self-sacrifice, demonstrates the capacity to bridge the divide between species and between galaxies. He paused, allowing the gravity of his words to settle. The data from Jack No, meticulously catalogued and preserved by our systems before its final act of sacrifice, has proven invaluable. Captain Thorne's singular act, his willingness to face utter annihilation for the collective good, has resonated through the precursor network, activating the Nexus. Humanity, in its desperate, audacious flight, has not only saved our galaxy, but has also unlocked the path to the greater cosmos. A profound stillness settled upon the chamber. The loss of Captain Thorne and Jack No was not diminished, but imbued with an even deeper meaning. Their sacrifice had not merely been for this galaxy, but for the universe beyond. Humanity, the species they had once underestimated, had, through its unique spirit, opened a new, unimaginably vast frontier for all. "We stand on the precipice of a new era," Elder Zyler declared, his voice ringing with a powerful, unifying purpose. "The era of intergalactic exploration, the era of true cosmic unity, and it was made possible by a single human, a single ship, and the profound, humbling lesson of their courage. We will remember Jack No. We will remember Captain Elias Thorne, and we will carry their spirit, their audacity, their unwavering hope into the vast, unknown expanse that now awaits us." The holographic display shimmered, revealing not a threat, but a future. The cross-galactic gates pulsed with a silent invitation, promising wonders and challenges beyond imagination. And as the conquered of elder systems, now truly the conquered of unified galaxies, prepared to embark on this new, grand journey, a single piece of music, the haunting, beautiful melody of a piece of Jack No, began to gently resonate through the Chamber of Unity, a timeless testament to the species that had taught them the true meaning of courage, of unity, and of the boundless potential of the spirit, even in the face of the infinite unknown. The universe, once a place of daunting distances and terrifying unknowns, now shimmered with the promise of endless frontiers, all because of one small, seemingly insignificant species, and their most advanced ship ever built.